What is up, everybody? No, I'm not Blake. Blake is unfortunately doing some Halloween stuff up north there. He is the Halloween man and the Halloween mayor is what we'll call him.
Yep.
Because that's what he was when he was down here at Universal Orlando, which I am not the mayor. I am just a citizen helping with Halloween Horror Nights here. But anyways, I'm Ferris here with the birthday boy, the big 1-8. No, I'm sorry, the big 2-1, because you have to be legal age to drink on this pod. The big 2-1, Ron Keller.
What's happening? Lots and lots of stuff going on.
Yes, indeed. And happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. I'm 21 for the second 2.3 times.
We do math on this pod.
Yeah, we do.
And there will be some math on this pod, oddly enough, by the one and only Ron.
Oh, yeah.
But first, on tonight's episode of The Brutiful Game, just a few hours ago, before we hit record on this Here There pod, and just before, as the U.S. men's national team was warming up in Cincinnati, Ohio line, Skyline Chili, U.S. Soccer announced an all-new head coach to lead our U.S. men's national team into what will be a World Cup on home soil in less than 2 years' time. We will tell you who that is coming up. But we'll also stick stateside as a legend of U.S. soccer, women's soccer, and just plain old soccer in general. Alex Morgan has hung up her boots this past Sunday. We'll talk the woman herself, the player, and the impact that her illustrious career, both on and off the pitch, has had on, with the beautiful game, because she has ultimately changed the game and is absolutely a legend.
Massive talent. Absolutely.
Then we'll blow the halftime whistle as the broker of the brazen beef and the British pound of the pork belly, Ron, fills our brains the way your 7th grade algebra teacher did, with all the FFP that's fit to divvy out in this edition of Ron's Frolicking Financial Fun.
Well written. That was quite good. I enjoyed that.
I was happy I got through it without stuttering through it. So, and then for the second half of the pod, you know what? Let's take you back to the 90s with a good old-fashioned mashup mixtape as the 2-minute drill and the League's Roundup collide.
Love a good mixtape.
Right? Who doesn't? As we bounce around to talk about various clubs, teams, matches, leagues, and cup tournaments, and just a bunch of stuff. We'll go off on probably all sorts of topics, but try to keep it in the confines of 2 minutes, which is tough. So those two things will collide.
Easy.
But first, this wouldn't be the Brutiful Game without a little beverage.
I have the beer for this pod. Took a little DoorDash by Ferris to get him his. We're each recording in our own studios tonight.
Yep.
But this one is particularly well timed. If you follow the other football, American football, you know that the season just started last Thursday, and the first week concluded last night. And so we're having a throwback beer to some beer news from 2 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Now, just to set this up for everybody,
yeah,
I have on the DoorDash, I have a little lunch bag here.
Yeah, a lunch cooler filled with ice and one beer.
Correct. That literally just says lunch on it.
Right.
But I have not opened this cooler. I merely picked it up from Ron's home, DoorDash style, drove it here, and it's been sitting next to my desk for the past hour or two.
Right.
I have no clue what this beer is.
Correct. Because it's a good throwback to some beer news that we talked about this particular beer, and then we said, oh, we've got to get it and we've got to try it, but we haven't been able to find it until just now.
Oh,
okay. So here's how this whole thing goes down.
All right.
My wife is doing a project. She's based in Orlando, here with me, but she's doing a project that's based in Dallas, Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I ask her, hey, there's this beer, and I think you can get it from this store in Dallas, but I'm not 100% sure. Will you go check? Right?
Interesting, because I've been in Dallas a few times, and I've recorded a pod from Dallas before, but I have no clue where you're going with this.
So she goes to the store, and she is trying to find the beer, and I'm gonna introduce this beer and then come back to the story, right?
Okay.
But keep in mind that my wife is kind of wandering around this store trying to find this beer, and she has to ask a Dallas, Texas local good old boy where this beer is. Here we go.
Oh, Lord.
Right? Ferris, feel free to open it.
Okay.
I'm just doing this so I can see Ferris's face on the camera.
That's a big can. Holy
oh boy,
smokes.
Is it?
Is this Troy Aikman's beer?
It's Troy Aikman's beer.
Hell yeah, man. 8 light lager.
Yep. Elite.
Oh, how cool is this?
Lager made with quality ingredients by an elite team, thanks to the tireless working of brewing scientists at Oregon State University. We created something that makes us all proud. For centuries, brewers have known that hops provide flavor and are packed full of helpful properties. We chose hops to maximize those properties. Can you say xanthomerol 5 times fast? That's the type of hops.
Wow.
Yeah. And just so you are aware, there it is. The average analysis of this is a 4.0 ABV, but only 90 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs, Ferris, 1 gram of protein. You can build nice, strong muscles. And 0 fat. So now let's go back to my wife who's wandering the beer store trying to find this beer, right? Searching. All I tell her is the name of the beer, right? She is searching the craft beer aisle up and down, can't find it. She has to go to the local, Texas good old boy and says, I'm looking for this beer. And he's like, well, okay. And he's taking her past the craft beer aisle, and she's like, no. It's I'm sure it's going to be in the craft beer aisle. And he's like, no, come with me. And so she's passing the freezer case or the refrigerator case, and it's like Keystone Light and Bud Light and Budweiser. And so it's in the refrigerator case between Bud Light and Keystone Light. And she's like, this can't be it. My husband does not drink swill. It's like, it's got to be in the craft beer aisle. He's like, nope, this is it. So I get a phone call, a FaceTime, and my wife has the beer, and she's like, is this it? This can't be it. And I was like, oh, no, that's it. And she's like, it's in the Budweiser aisle.
Oh, my God, America.
Right? America indeed. So, I mean, look, it's probably smart that he markets it that way, right?
Sure.
Because the demographic for the most part, in those parts of Texas is a little less fruit in my beer and more little yay Budweiser.
In fairness, in most of the continental United States, I mean, your top beers are these light lagers as such, right?
So this was over in that case, and she was like, I can't believe that he's actually going to drink this.
This is amazing. And in part, we should have potted yesterday because he was doing a broadcast on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
He's one of the
Troy,
the legendary Dallas quarterback, many Super Bowls with Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. I watched them as kids, and man, this is awesome.
Yeah,
God, this is a great pull. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah. So I'll give my wife a shout out since she carted this beer all the way back. And And we'll put a nice picture of her holding the can up on the website.
Oh, you know what I wish I would have done? Oh, absolutely. Please do. You know what I wish I would have done, though? My grandfather, which I've talked about on this pod, his cottage up in Ohio. Yes, it's nowhere near from, complete opposite where this beer's from. But anyways, side of his fridge, you'd always go in and get a frosted mug.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had a frosted mug to pour this thing in. I might just do it out of the can. And this is a tall boy, too. This is a one pinter.
This is a tall of a tall boy.
Yeah, this is a one pinter. Let's go.
So there you go. Thanks to my wife, Becky, for trucking this all the way across and trying to find it in the craft beer aisle.
My 1 gram of protein for tonight.
Yep. Heck yes.
Dude.
Shall we crack it?
Yeah. Hell yeah. How about them Cowboys?
Friend of the pod, Chris Voller, is going to be very excited about this.
Yes. Nobody on this pod is a Cowboys fan. We have a Bills fan and Ron, a North Carolina, right?
Yeah. Carolina Panthers.
Carolina, which, Blake Price will talk about. And then I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks, obviously. But I'm going to pour probably half of it out in a glass.
I'm pouring it into my brand new, Ferris, you're going to love this, my brand new Alaskan Brewing Company pint glass.
Oh,
because we were just in Alaska,
right?
Which is why we didn't pod last week. Yeah,
and Blake and I were tied up with our Halloween events.
Oh, Alaska's amazing. All we did was hike. It was quite good. I mean, I'm not the biggest, I don't want to go for a cruise on every one of my vacations, but the fact that you can just unplug and not be in touch with the rest of humanity is quite nice.
Oh, sure. I mean, that one that we did, what was it? 2018?
Yeah.
17 maybe?
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Pre-COVID. Yeah. That one was fun. All right.
All right. Shall we?
Absolutely.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
So it has more flavor than I thought it would.
Hell yeah, it does. It is actually a really good light lager.
It is smooth up front, a little bitter in the middle, and then sweet for the finish.
Perfect description.
It's a kind of a golden straw color with good lacing in the glass and a good foam when you pour it.
What is it rate on like Beer Advocate and all those?
Untapped has it at 3.26.
3.26
out of 5.
I think that's a little low.
I think the thing that doesn't do it for me is the bitter in the middle. But it is still quite good.
I get what you're saying. That bitter in the middle for me is probably why it was in the refrigerator that it was in.
Right.
But it gives more of a, let's say, low level lager. But I guess that's what a light lager is in a way.
Only 90 calories.
It's certainly more bodied than a light lager usually would be in terms of like a Mick Ultra or something along those lines.
Yeah. I would agree there. All in all, it's better than I expected.
I concur. And you kept it very well cold because my can is like ice cold and this beer tastes fantastic, but I'm going to do half of it in the glass and half of it out of the can as we talk.
Heck yeah.
Good old football, the non-American style.
The one you use your feet for, like your actual feet. Correct. Instead of throwing it.
All right. Thank you, Becky. Down. Here we go. We will stay in the U.S., though, as a whole slew of things have occurred on the U.S. soccer front. And that'll kind of be our main topics tonight, as it's been what's seemingly a long international break. But just as we were saying in the intro, hours ago and just before the U.S. men kicked off their friendly against New Zealand in Cincinnati, Ohio, which just ended 1-1. A Pulisic goal in the second half, and then a kind of a fluky goal by New Zealand where Mark McKenzie tried to clear it and bounced off a defender and then kind of chipped Turner. But ended 1-1. But the next game, which I believe is in October, the very next game, we will have a new head coach. And U.S. Soccer announced that Argentine manager Mauricio Pochettino has been named the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team. Ron, does your excitement meter match how you rate this move, Eater?
I have a bunch of different feelings, to be honest. I
figured most will at this point, yeah.
I think it's probably a pretty good shout. Pretty good appointment.
Sure.
Selfishly, I am also happy because that means his salary from Chelsea is now off the books.
That's right.
And that means it's much more likely that Chelsea will not screw up the PSR for this rolling 3-year period.
That's right.
But from a pure standpoint of the man himself, I think the best thing he is going to give this team, which it hasn't had in quite a while, is an identity.
Sure. Yeah. I see that.
At Chelsea, I didn't think he was going to be a good hire. Turns out he was a good hire for where they needed him, and he probably should have stayed on. He really did do a lot with that team with the talent he was given in the time frame he did.
Cole Palmer in particular.
Cole Palmer, yes. I mean, there was others, Conor Gallagher, Mark Cucurella, a few others.
Sure.
But regardless, I think it's a good hire. I think it's going to be difficult to rate his success as a manager, though, from the standpoint of we're saying he's going to take us into and through the World Cup, right? So what's actually going to be successful? Is it a round of 16 bid? Is it a, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's tough.
Yeah. I think to answer that question of my excitement meter and my rate meter, my excitement meter is like 10 out of 10 on that scale of 10, right? I think this is a very exciting hire because it is a big name, right? It's not probably your top tier name, which is only a very few head coaches in that top tier,
right?
And ones that are particularly available, right? Klopp. We threw our hat in for that. He politely declined. That's your top tier. He's up there with your Peps, all that are in the current game. I think Poch is in that probably second tier, maybe somewhere in that mid second tier. So I think rate wise, I rated probably a 7.5, 8 out of 10 in terms of a rate meter, because who's available, who you could get. That is a big name that has a pedigree with young players in particular. And he does. And we talked about this on the last pod with Southampton ages ago, which got him the job at Tottenham, which then you saw your Bales come through. You saw your not too much Bale at that point, but you did see a little bit of Bale. You saw your Kanes come through, your Sons come through. You saw he really cultivated that young talent and kind of brought them along, your Dyers of the world, that sort of thing. So I think big name, cultivating the young talent that we have and kind of getting the best out of them. I think this is about the biggest name that you can get when you take those things into account.
I mean, he did the same at Chelsea, right? With young talent, right?
Right, exactly.
He took them when they were in 12th and brought them to 6th
Mm-hmm.
and created a decent team who had a good run at the end of last year's Premier League
Mm-hmm.
season. So
Absolutely.
I think he's going to be good in this role.
Right. You know, and it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 for me yet. One, because we don't know what the outcome is going to be. You know, what if a year from now the Real Madrid job becomes available and Real Madrid go after him? Who's to say he doesn't take that?
Yeah.
Right. There's a number of circumstances that can happen between now and the World Cup. That's 2 years away, or less than 2 years away, right? Because it would be played in the summer of 2026. So we only have about 10 to 15, maybe 20 matches between now and then that he's going to get this team on, you know, assuming that he stays on, right? The assumption is he's going to take us into that World Cup and we're going to carry on through with him. And then he'll be kind of graded at the end of that World Cup. So that grade can't be complete right now. That's why It's not a 10 out of 10 for me or even a 9 out of 10. Also, we don't know. He's never coached an international team. Right. His pedigree from what, you know, from what we mainly know and his CV of sorts is club games.
Right.
Southampton, as we already said, Tottenham, as we already said, PSG, and then Chelsea. So
you have a lot less time with that young talent, right? Because they're off playing club game. And so you only have various international windows in order to work with some of these players, right? So that's going to be a tough one. The other reason I think you're smart in not giving like an A-rated grade or a 10 out of 10 is also because the U.S. doesn't have to compete to get in.
Very true.
Right? So
very, very true.
He doesn't have anything on the line running up to the World Cup.
Which is actually could be a plus for him and, you know, takes that pressure off a bit, right?
Sure. But usually you learn a lot about your team when it's under pressure.
When you have to win those matches, when you have to do those things.
Right.
And listen, he might see a little bit of that, even if it's in the next international window, October 12th, Panama. Panama's knocked us out of World Cup competition before.
Yep.
Mexico, the next game after that. And guess where that Mexico game is being played?
Mexico.
Down in Mexico, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a taste of the biggest rivalry that we have pretty darn early.
Well, he just saw what we did against Canada, or what we didn't do against Canada.
Correct. And what we failed to see out against New Zealand. So, you know, the past several games from the U.S., we just talked about Panama. We lost to them 2-1. That was that red card game that Tim Way got sent off on.
Right.
The next group game, a 1-0 loss to Uruguay. Canada, as you just mentioned, 2-1 loss. And that game, believe me, wasn't as close as 2-1.
No, it should have been a lot. The only reason it was not run up by Canada is because our goalkeeper had himself quite a good day.
Yes. A very good. And it was not Matt Turner. It was Patrick Schulte. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but the Columbus Crew goalie. And then tonight, a 1-1 draw. So we're coming up against a team that we lost to in the Copa, and then our biggest rival. So that's a pretty good test for him. Those will be his first 2 matches.
Right.
I think that's already been announced by U.S. Soccer. He's due to fly into the States. I don't quite know where. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. He was not at the match tonight. So, I think going to the excitement side of things, it's excitement because it is a big name. It's a big name, wanted to coach this young group, and he talked about that a little bit in his statement. You can go to ussoccer.com. No, it's only the MLS, but whatever the US Soccer site is, and look at those comments. I think it's just ussoccer.com. And you can kind of read, he did a kind of how you do nowadays on social media. You say, oh, I'm come to see me August 12th.
Yeah.
Here are tickets and I'm excited and yada, yada, yada. But he announced that. So you can go there and listen to all those comments. But from an excitement of where I think this program is going from both national teams level, right? You bring in Emma Hayes, her CV, and now you bring in Poch. Those are two really big names in just the game of soccer in general.
And hopefully that this is going to, for both the ladies' side and the men's side, I hope this lays a good, long foundation and regains, the ladies' team seem to have regained their identity after the previous World Cup for the ladies. And I hope this happens for us because the men's side kind of seemingly lacks a lot of strategy, lacks an identity, lacks a lot of excitement. The players in the game versus Canada did not look very excited. They did not look like they had any fire or any fight in them. So I hope this appointment is going to kind of restore that for us.
Yeah, and I think it helps to get past the golden age that we're kind of calling it, right? The team doesn't have to be dependent on McKennie, Musa, Adams, and Pulisic, right? To see a complete team with subs that can come in and impact a game, because there's plenty of talent, right? There's a lot of talent. Now, is that talent up to your Spains of your world, your Netherlands, your Brazils, your Englands, those that are competing at the highest level in the highest tournaments? We're probably not there yet. I think it's unrealistic to think that we're going to win the World Cup in the U.S., right? Is it possible? Absolutely it is. But to set that as the bar, I think for a U.S., especially men's soccer fan, that's a bit too high. I would not set your bar up that high if that's what you're thinking.
Right.
Now, internally, and what Poch may say to the team and how they may go about it is that is the bar set, and as it should be, right? But the realistic view is are we up with the Argentinas of the world, of the Spains of the world,
right?
Of the Englands of the world? We're not quite there yet. Will he get us there in 2 years? Maybe. But I don't see what kind of new talent is really going to drive us there in the next 2 years. We have a superstar on the team in Christian Pulisic, but so do
everyone else.
Portugal, right? They have a superstar on their team. I'm not comparing Pulisic to Ronaldo, but Portugal hasn't won the World Cup. Yeah, they won the Euros several years ago, but that one person doesn't do it. So to see what he can do with the rest of the young talent, I think is what we're most excited of, right? What he can do with the right back situation, with the left back situation,
with a center back situation,
with a center back situation, right? Because Tim Ream's probably not going to be our center back come the World Cup.
No.
So exactly, what's he going to do with that? I think that's the more exciting intricacies to look for here. And I was not excited about another international window happening a month from now to stop league play. But I kind of am now to see how he is behind the bench coaching this U.S. squad come October 12th.
So before we move on to the next part.
Yep.
What would you consider success in the World Cup for the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino? Just get out of the group?
No.
Semis?
I'll set it high and go the semifinals. Just appearance in the semifinals. I think an appearance in the quarters would even be, you get past that round of proverbial 16. I mean, it's more now. I don't know what exactly that round is necessarily now because we've added more teams to the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But get past that first knockout stage round, right? I think that's the bare minimum. Now, in other words, you look in this past World Cup, we beat the Dutch and we move on. That next game is the bar.
Right.
I think it's realistic. I think, getting to a semifinals or even winning a semifinal and playing for the World Cup is like a complete pipe dream.
Right.
Just on the trajectory and what this program has consistently done in tournaments for the past 20 years. So I would say quarterfinal win, semifinal appearance.
Yeah.
Would be an A+ grade for me.
It's pretty much where my mind is currently set. Yeah. And then we'll adjust it as time goes by, should we need to.
Sure, we'll see.
Because just getting out of group might be it.
I will tell you somebody that Mauricio Pochettino wish he had on his team as he was getting ready for this was the one and only Alex Morgan.
Oh, the best.
Oh, man. Well, this past Thursday, Alex took to her social media to announce her retirement. If you have not seen that, I don't know what you're doing as a soccer fan where you haven't seen that. But once again, she set it up kind of selfie style and just spoke beautifully about how she's going to hang up the boots and how she's been hanging on to this thought for a while. She always knew this season was going to be her last season, but had been truly hanging on to it for a while because the NWC season is not done yet.
Right.
But she also announced that she will be pregnant for the second time, which she had been holding on to as well. Her last game was this past Sunday. So she announced it on Thursday and her last game was on 3 days. That sold thousands of seats within minutes once she announced that.
And it was unprecedentedly. It was on so many major networks.
Yep. ESPN, CBS, NWSL Plus. It was on like a whole bunch of, yes.
And it was quite cool that they let her play the first 13 minutes and then subbed her
at 13 minutes.
At 13 minutes, because that's the number on her kit.
I was a little mad because she had a chance at a pen. She took a pen, and it was saved. In fairness, it wasn't the best pen.
Right.
But I was a little upset that's how I wish she would have made the pen and then got subbed off. However, her team did score in that 13th minute, so it was a nice rejoicing, and then she came off.
Right.
They went on to lose the game, I think 4-1 or something, but they're really not that good of a team this year. But, Alex Morgan, a.k.a. M13, a.k.a. Baby Horse, and now not only U.S. soccer legend, but world soccer legend, departs the pitch with an absolutely incredible CV consisting of, two-time World Cup champion in both 2015 and 2019. 2019, her probably one of my absolute most favorite images is of her scoring that game-winning goal against England in the semifinals and then doing the sip the tea celebrations. God almighty, I get chills thinking about it. I will watch that over and over again. I have a sticker on one of my mugs. I'm going to buy that damn hat. They have a hat with her just sitting there on there.
I got to get
that. That is what it was my screen on my background on my computer for ages that somebody had put together with like hot dogs and American flags and bald eagles and Budweiser and all of these things somebody had put together. It's just awesome. But she's also a U20 World Cup champion, 2012 U.S. Soccer Female Athlete of the Year, 2012 Olympic gold medalist, 2013 NWSL champion, I believe with the Portland Thorns, 2017 Champions League, UEFA Champions League winner, Division One Feminine champ. I think that year she was with Lyon and they won the France League, which is quite strong, probably more strong for the women than it is the men.
Right.
And they won the Champions League that year. 2022 NWSL Golden Boot with her first year at the San Diego Wave. 2023 NWSL Shield. 2024 NWSL Challenge Cup. 2024 CONCACAF W Gold Cup. And 3-time CONCACAF champion.
Awesome.
That is absolutely insane. And she will go down as we've said, just a U.S. soccer legend.
And so many there's so many people playing soccer, both professionally and, kind of rec leagues and things like that women have been plastering her social media saying, I play this game because you made it possible for us to play. And because one other thing that, we're not specifically talking about is she was an incredible activist for the sport. And she wasn't
100%.
afraid to speak out when she needed to, set her boundaries and hold a boundary when she needed to, when it came to unfair playing conditions and scheduling and unfair pay.
And she was the voice in the vehicle, the witness, the advocate, the friend that helped bring to light all of the harassment issues that the NWSL had with Sinead Fairley and Shim, Mia Shim, that what was going on at Port. She was the one that had the voice that brought that to light. When those two athletes could not, she knew the impact that her voice has on the game and knew that she could get that in front of those that need to know that info. So a proper investigation and handling of that could be done. And it pretty much popped the cap off of all of these issues that had happened over the years, and a really big reform in the NWSL because of her voice and what she was able to help with.
Yeah.
A big part in the equal play pay, as well. And the fight for that started the together company, which highlights women's sports. So yeah, off the pitch, absolutely, Ron. That is a great shout.
She's also an author.
She is.
She writes kids' books.
It's on the pitch, off the pitch. She is just, she was one of the first women superstars of the world. She's up there with the Artas, where I don't, is she the GOAT? Possibly. But she is, no matter how you slice it, an absolute legend. Her first cap was on March 31st, 2010, versus Mexico in Sandy, Utah, which was not sandy that night. It was very snowy. And her first goal was October 2nd, 2010, versus China. She had 224 appearances, 123 goals, and 53 assists.
Awesome.
For the U.S.
She played for the Pride here in Orlando, so we got to see her on
I'm wearing their last kit she was
weekly basis. And there's two things you got to look up. One, if you haven't seen it, go onto her Instagram account and watch her heartfelt, eloquent video. And then the other thing is go to the Instagram account for U.S. Women's National Team, which is the just USWNT. And they have a video of Alex's 13 best goals.
Yes.
And it's incredible.
And kind of real quick, you had said something about, the Pride. We watched her here at the Pride. She was with the Pride for several years. She had her first child here while she was with the Pride. I was not a big Alex fan prior to that. And I've said this on the pod before. I did not rate her a great deal. I thought she was overrated because she was a bit of a superstar when she came here, before she came here. But one of the things that I became such a huge Alex fan was watching her here. The things that she did off the ball, her work rate off the ball as this big number 9 that just scores goals. Her positioning, her pace, her strength, her determination in that role, to get to watch that here, in per person at both the Citrus Bowl at the time and then the stadium we're in now, Exploria, or whatever it's called, Enter and Co. Stadium at the time was, I can't remember what the hell it was at the time. Orlando City Stadium, I think it was just called.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But watching her week in and week out, you saw what kind of number 9 she was for the team. She wasn't just a goal scorer.
Yeah. Teacher, leader.
53 of assists is damn near half of what her goal scoring was, which means she produced. She almost contributed to a goal in in 75% of her appearances.
Yeah.
I think there was another stat. The U.S. never lost a game when she scored a goal for the U.S. or something like that. I mean, her impact, again, as we said, both on the pitch for club, for the U.S. women's national team, and for little girls, boys, to get people into this game. She is a massive contributor during a time where the game was growing. And what she did with it and how she went about it cannot be talked about enough. So thank you, Alex. The game is better because of you.
We will miss you entirely.
Yes, indeed. All right. Halftime. And what better way to go into the old half than a little financial fun as Ron frolics through the latest in financial fair play. Take it away, Ron.
Okay. So if you're don't know what you're following from a standpoint of financial fair play these days, everybody wants to know what's happening with Man City and Leicester City. Comes out that on September 3rd, which is just 7 days ago, Leicester win their appeal against the Premier League. So let me give you just a quick little timeline. April 24th of 2023, Leicester changed the accounting period from 30th of May 2023 to the 30th of June. Then on the 28th of May in that year, they get relegated. And then the Premier League charges them at March. What the hell are you doing?
You caught me trying to do a bigger picture.
Oh, that looks like it, I thought you were giving me the fingers. It's hilarious.
No, it's
So Leicester are charged 21st of March this year by the Premier League for breaching the rules. Then Leicester appeal on the 22nd. On April 26th, Leicester are promoted back into the Premier League. And then September 3rd, Leicester win the appeal. So that this has been going on for over a year, right? So let me let you have a little peek behind the inner workings of the Premier League. When a team is promoted, by the end of June, they are given a single share of the Premier League from one of the teams that have been relegated. So the Premier League has 20 individual shares, one for every team in the league. Okay. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
So the Premier League has, because it is run by the clubs, there are 20 individual shares.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And one for every club. So
correct.
If you get relegated, by the end of June, you have to formally transfer your share. Let's say, Leicester is giving way to Southampton.
So it's like you get a token.
Sure. But I have to formally, if I'm being relegated and you're being promoted, the Premier League will set up an official transfer of that share from me to you. And then once you receive that share, you are officially a Premier League club, but not until then, right? So let's say the end of your season in the championship is May 13th and you're promoted. You're not a Premier League club until someone transfers the token or the share.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So
when does that happen though?
Before the end of June, the year you are relegated or promoted.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So Leicester were being charged of not complying with the rules and the PSR rules and not filing their books on time. Leicester argues we were not a Premier League club at the time, so you don't have jurisdiction.
Which means they don't have a token?
Well, correct. Yes. So the Premier League says, no. You were a Premier League club that season. You're liable. So the first breach of the first breach charge levied by the Premier League against Leicester goes to an independent panel review, and they are found guilty. But the Leicester appeal on the basis of this. Leicester transferred their share of the club on June 12th of 2023 from Leicester formally to Luton. So as of June 12th, 2023, they are no longer a Premier League club. On March 24th of 2021, March 21 of 2024, Leicester are formally charged for breaking the PSR rules. Leicester say the accounting period for the season ended June 30th.
We don't have a token.
I don't have a token. You can't charge me. You don't have jurisdiction. And that is how they won. It is, there is no, they never said we didn't break the rules. They never said we, have some clever financial thing like Everton did. All their entire appeal was based on the fact that they were not an official Premier League club at the time. And
which means they're
right.
Upheld to
the rules,
the league rules.
So now here comes the interesting part. Because they were not a Premier League club, they were a championship level club. So now the championship rules in the EFL now take over.
Do they have financial fair play in the championship?
They do. Slightly different. But so now the question is going to be, is the EFL going to go after them or not? So this sets an interesting precedent. It looks like a big black eye on the face of the Premier League when it comes to all this financial fair play and PSR and all that kind of stuff. But they win their case. Anybody following at home, you can look up Rule E49 of the Premier League PSR regulation and see all of that. It does turn out that their losses for that 3-year period were 129.4 million, which means they were essentially 24 million over the allowable threshold. So they were actually breaking the rules.
But did a lawyer of theirs not catch this prior to?
I think.
Like, did a lawyer for the Premier League not go, hey, guys, listen, probably not the best idea?
No, because so here's another kind of interesting facet about this is that the intent of the rule is that if you were playing in the 2022-2023 season, you should be accountable for your finances in that time. No one realized that the passing of the token earlier the share would cause this problem, because everyone knows that the financial accounting period ends on June 30th. So this wasn't a smart move by Leicester going, hey, let's get rid of this early and avoid our problems. They didn't actually realize this. They just
kind of happy
accident, right?
Oh.
You just have till the end of June to formally transfer your share. They happen to do it on the 12th of June. So a big old loophole. That noise you hear is in the next available rules review. That noise you hear, that slamming noise, is going to be this loophole shutting.
Jeez Louise.
So PSR continues to look bad for the Premier League, even though this is all voted on. The rules are written for the clubs. So enforcing it and trying to amend it to its ever adapting and changing field is quite difficult. So, but you can be assured this loophole is going to close. They're going to say all of the, my opinion would be that they're going to say all of the tokens will happen on, June 31st after the accounting period has ended, right? It's going to be something like that. So then this kind of accident can't happen again. But a very interesting legal precedent, and it's all how it's written. So Leicester isn't wrong. I was of the opinion that the intent of the rule is that you were playing during this period, so of course you're accountable. And I said it on the pod that you're going to be accountable. Well, we were all a little wrong.
Jeez, what a financial! It's not a financial loophole. It's
just it's a way. The argument is literally just about the date, because it's very specifically written in the rules when you become a Premier League club and when your time in the Premier League is over, right? It's very specifically defined.
Wow.
So once the Leicester lawyers figured out the exact kind of definition, because again, there's a lot of money on the line. If you're a newly promoted team, you want that TV money, right? And all the other money that comes with being a Premier League team. So the second that share is transferred to you, the money starts coming. So there's very specific definitions of when you become a Premier League team and when you cease to be a Premier League team, so that the tap turns off. The Leicester lawyers argued essentially you can't have it both ways. You can't say that when we transfer the share and we are no longer a Premier League club, that you can hold us to the rules because we're no longer a Premier League club by your own definition. And that's where the case was won.
Jeez.
So there you go. I hope that clears things up for you. But there's a number of really good articles, on the BBC or The Athletic. So feel free to just look up the Leicester City PSR hearing, and all the results will come up in Google for how this all works out.
Wow.
There you go. I hope that doesn't confuse you.
I don't think so.
Good.
At least not this time. This was a pretty interesting one, though. Made the financial stuff a little bit more interesting. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. That brings us back to the second half.
All right. Real quick before we get into the mix mashup tape that is 2-minute drill and league, as I stumbled across a quote as we were looking up some Alex Morgan things, and I just want to share a quote that Trinity Rodman, probably one of the best well-known players in the world, especially when it comes to U.S. soccer set. I just want to read this quote. As an up-and-coming star from her that she is in her own right, she was quoted as saying, "This changed the world in such an amazing way with how many people that she can touch. Just investing in women, and just like the care in that, she'll never get enough credit for all the things that she's changed in the sport and outside of the sport."
It's true.
All right. The mix mash up tape. Let the games begin. Take us away, Ron.
First up, let's go back a week or so.
Oh.
Ferris's favorite
God bless it.
rival match. Liverpool 3, Manchester United 0. 3-0 handling at home. Old Trafford is still feeling the aftershocks of this massive 3-0 thrashing at the hands of their rivals. How are you feeling? Is that why you've been, kind of quiet and hermiting for the past 2 weeks?
Right. I watched the game with friend of the pod and Liverpool supporter Tony at the German deli, and boy, he was happy when he left. I was not. But no, listen, Slot got it right, 100% right. They were tactically dominant of Man United. They were physically dominant of United. More technical, better setup, formation, you name it. Casemiro had a dreadful first half. An errant pass turned over in midfield and then kind of bodied off the ball in midfield. Third goal, Kobe Manu bodied off in midfield. They were just tactically overpowering the midfield of United. So kudos to Liverpool, to Slot. They got it 100% right. And as you said, just absolutely slaughtered us. United looked poor. There's a few chances here and there, but it for the most part, they were tactically dominant, and it showed on the score sheet, and that is an absolutely fair result of 3-0.
What do you, follow-up question, we only have a minute left, but follow-up question, what do you make of Ten Hag falling back on the argument that obviously we're not doing too bad, we are the only other English team that's won trophies in the past couple of years, aside from Man City?
It's an excuse, right?
Sure.
It's trying to deflect away from that performance. It's true. It's absolutely true. What he's saying has no relevance on this game.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, these games have come time and time again throughout the past few seasons of Ten Hag. He's going to deflect until that's no longer asked. But for right now, it's going to continue to be asked if play continues like that. All right. Maybe you saw it. Maybe you didn't. But CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, secured his 900th and 901st goals of his career against Croatia and Scotland, respectively, in the UEFA Nations League Group A, Round 1 and Round 2. Yep, that's a thing. Ronaldo becomes the first football player to do so. The most in the game. Pretty impressive, eh?
I think I would. Yes.
Yes.
Right. It's
right.
quite an accomplishment.
I think it is, right?
It's quite an accomplishment. I think I would be more awed by it or impressed more if he wasn't such a dick.
He's not to the Zlatan level. Like, Zlatan's tier 1 dick.
Yeah.
I like Ronaldo is just an arrogant son of.
You're right.
You know, and I don't necessarily think he's a dick. I think he's just an arrogant son of a bitch that, you just, it's just that cocky person. It's certainly impressive. 900 goals in his career, the most, by far the most, in a way. And yes, he's won things mainly at the club level, but he scored the most goal in UEFA Champions League history. That's pretty freaking impressive. So he secured a lot, right? He's we talked about this many times in the pod. 1A and 1B in terms of your goats for this. However, for the first time ever, we are going to have a Ballon d'Or winner with neither Ronaldo or Messi in contention for the finalists of Ballon d'Or. What do you think of that?
Finally.
Do you want? All right. So here's the list. I think we have about
you got 30 seconds.
30 seconds left. Your list: 26 nominees: Erling Haaland, Nico Williams, Granit Xhaka, Artem Dubravka, Toni Kroos, Vinicius Jr., Dani Olmo, Florian Wirtz, Martin Odegaard, Matty Hummels, Rodri, Harry Kane, Declan Rice, Vitinha, Cole Palmer, Danny Carvajal, Lamine Yamal, William Saliba, Hakim Calhanoglu, Bukayo Saka, Kylian Mbappe, Lautaro Martinez, Adriano Lukman, Antonio Rudiger, and Alejandro Grimaldo. Who you got?
Haaland.
I'm going to go either Rodri or Toni Kroos.
I think it's going to end up being Haaland to make up for the complete stealing of it 2 seasons ago.
Whatever.
Yeah. This is not the Ballon d'Or is not some sort of up and up contest. It's a bunch of people all voting around the room behind closed doors. So
yes.
I don't think it's a very fair setup or very above board setup.
Right. I think odds are Vinicius Jr. So certainly had a great year, but yeah.
Roughly 10 days ago, UEFA Champions League draw took place. Sorry. The table is now set. Wait, hold on. The table?
Yeah, what?
Craziness.
It's not groups?
Well, pots. If you will.
So like what were you calling? It's not a token, it's a what?
Share.
A share.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. So all the teams are filtered into 4 pots, right? And I'm going to go fast. Pot 1, Real Madrid, Man City, Bayern Munich, Paris, Saint-Germain, Liverpool, Inter Milan, Dortmund, Leipzig, Barcelona. Pot 2, Leverkusen, Atletico, Atalanta, Juventus, Benfica, Arsenal, Club Brugge, Shakhtar, and Milan. Pot 3, Feyenoord, Sporting CP, PSV, Genk Dynamo, Salzburg, Lille, one I can't pronounce, Zvezda. That's it. Young Boys and
Černá.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce the other one. And Celtic. Pot 4, Bratislava, Monaco, Praha, Aston Villa, Bologna, Girona, Stuttgart, Sturm Graz, and Brest.
Whew.
So that's the pots. Now, the interesting thing is that you play 2 games from teams in every pot. So, for example,
So it's like a round robin kind of?
Pretty much.
Kind of.
Right?
Okay.
So Real Madrid, who are in pot 1, they are playing 2 people from pot 1, Liverpool and Borussia Dortmund. Ouch. Look out.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Then
a rematch of last year's final, by the way.
Yes. Then they're playing 2 teams in pot 2, which is AC Milan and Atalanta. Then 2 teams in pot 3, which are Salzburg and Lille. 2 teams in pot 4, which are Stuttgart and Brest. Right.
So home and away.
Right. Every team has to play 2 teams from each of the 4 pots. And then
so they're only playing one more game than they usually would in a group of 4, right?
Yes. Yeah, they're playing 8 games.
Right. Opposed to no. Wait.
No, they're playing more than that, right? Because they'd only play each side
6.
Once home, once
they'd
away.
only play 6 games.
So they're playing 2 more.
2 more games. Okay.
And then it basically, runs itself out from there. But look out. It's going to be quite crazy.
So some other like fun games as I'm like kind of scrolling through this because I finally found what you were talking about here. But you have Inter Milan's going to play Liverpool. Christian Pulisic going up against Liverpool again, going up against Real Madrid. Cool matchup there. Arsenal get to go up against Inter, PSG, Atalanta, Girona. Juventus go up against RB Leipzig, Aston Villa. How about that? And that's at Villa Park. Juventus coming to town. Pretty cool.
Right.
Bayern Leverkusen, both Milan teams, and an Atletico team in Madrid, and a Liverpool team. Whew.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
Let's see if you're up to the big boys now. They might come up here in just a second. Dortmund. Playing a Barcelona as well.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yes, indeed.
I think out of all of them, I think Barcelona seems to have the easier schedule overall. They play Bayern Munich and Dortmund, then Atalanta, Benfica, Young Boys, Zvezda, Brest, Monaco.
I'd probably go with Arsenal, I think, to be honest with you, because PSG aren't the PSG with Neymar and all of that. Inter is away. Fair. That's going to be a very tough game. Shakhtar's at home. You don't have to go to Shakhtar.
Right.
Hard place to go. As well as Dynamo.
Right.
2 hard places to go. You don't have to go. But you do have Sporting in there. Monaco, And Girona away. They're not the team they were last year. You do have to play Atalanta away. But I think looking through it, that might be the easiest of all those top teams that are in pot 1. Because you can't say the same thing about PSG because they have Man City, Bayern, Atletico, and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Bayern might have second easiest because they play Paris, Barcelona, Benfica, Shakhtar, Feyenoord in there, and Aston Villa. So that might be contender for easiest. And then to what you said, Barca, but they're going to come out the gate with both Bayern and Dortmund and Atalanta, who won Europa League last year. So I don't know, but definitely an interesting concept and some interesting games here. And that all starts next week, I believe, on Tuesday.
Can't wait.
Our Orlando Pride become the first confirmed team into the playoffs. Let's go, Pride.
Congratulations.
That actually took place on Saturday before their game because of a Angel City loss. But they did continue their unbeaten season so far. They're now up to 19 as they got a 1-0 win over the Chicago Red Stars this past week on Sunday. With a third-place team now, Kansas City has moved down to third-place team and formerly kind of unbeaten team, but they've been beaten a few times here now. They're coming to town. They're coming here to Orlando on Friday night. Here's how the table lines up for what is the business end of the season. Orlando Pride, top of the table, 47 points, 19 games played. They're 6 points ahead of the Washington Spirit, who have moved up to second. Kansas City, as we said, is in third on 38 points. Gotham, champs of last year, on 37 points. North Carolina Courage, who just beat San Diego Wave and Alex Morgan's last game, 31 points. Portland Thorns in sixth place on 27. Bay FC, this expansion team, up there in playoff contention on 24 points, 1 point ahead of the Chicago Red Stars, who round out your top 8 teams currently in playoff positions. Right behind them, Angel City, 2 points behind the Red Stars. Seattle Reign, 1 point behind on 20 and 10th. Racing Louisville, another point behind there in 19th, or in 11th on 19 points. San Diego down there in 12th on 16 points. Utah Royals on 15 points. And the Houston Dash kind of round out the table on 14 points.
Awesome.
And I will let you know, there's a possibility maybe going to the NWSL final in Kansas, the new place, come November.
If you do, you're going to have to do a voice note from the game so we can put it in the pod for that session.
Yeah. I believe tickets were secured by friend of the pod, Caitlin, and the hopes are that Orlando Pride might be playing in that final. So we'll see.
So great. Just before the break, now Real Madrid superstar Kylian Mbappe got off the mark finally with a La Liga brace against Real Betis. Returning to action this week after the international break, here is how the fixtures go. Friday, September 13th, Real Betis plays Leganés. September 14th, here we go. We got a good lineup. Mallorca versus Villarreal. Espanyol versus Deportivo Alaves. Sevilla playing Getafe. Real Sociedad playing Real Madrid. I think
that should be a fun one.
That's going to be a much more fun game than what Real Madrid is expecting.
Yeah, you just have some injuries for both teams that could play into this, so it may not be as full tilt as it should be.
On Sunday, September 15th, Celta Vigo plays Real Valladolid. I'm destroying the Spanish language, so I apologize, everyone. Girona versus Barcelona. La Palmas versus Athletic Club, and Atletico Madrid versus Valencia. I will be in Valencia next week, and I will actually be there on Sunday, September 15th. The problem is Valencia is not playing at home.
Oh, well, it's pretty good because they're dead last in the table right now.
I know, but it would still be good to go and see a match.
Damn.
And then Monday, September 16th, Vallecano versus Osasuna. And that's what next week's fixtures in La Liga look like.
All right, moving over to the German Bundesliga. Just before the break, guess who finally lost a game?
Who's that?
Bayern Leverkusen, finally in the league over a calendar year. 3-2 defeat to RB Leipzig. A game where they finally didn't score in the 110th minute or the whatever.
Right. And the last,
in fact, it was Leipzig who got the last 3 goals, actually, to come back from 2-0 down to win 3-0. I'm sorry, 3-2, but outscore them 3-0 in the second half of the match. So here's how. Sorry. By the way, a team called FC Heidenheim top the table going into the break. Not Leverkusen, not Dortmund, not Munich. FC Heidenheim.
Right.
Like 2 wins and a draw, if I'm not mistaken. But wow. So here's what you got to look forward for. The aforementioned Heidenheim and Dortmund, league leaders, square off on Friday. Screw just easing back in after the break.
Right into it.
Like, wow. 4th in the table versus 1st at Dortmund, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed, at Signal Iduna should be rocking on Friday. Then you have Borussia Mönchengladbach against VBF Stuttgart. Freiburg versus Bochum, Hoffenheim versus Bayern Leverkusen, RB Leipzig versus Union Berlin, Wolfsburg versus Eintracht Frankfurt, and Holstein Kiel versus Bayern Munich. That is your Saturday rundown of the Bundesliga. Moving on to Sunday, you have 2 matches. Augsburg and St. Pauli, new team up there, and Mainz versus Werder Bremen. If you have not watched the Bundesliga, it is on ESPN Plus and their network, and it is awesome. It is a lot of fun.
So I guess that means we'll wrap it up with a little Premier League vortex coming back into the week, right? I mean, the main match is going to be the North London Derby, but here we go. On Saturday, September 14th, Southampton versus Manchester United. I have Southampton all the way.
That 7:30 a.m. game. Will
Brighton and Hove Albion versus Ipswich Town. I think we know how that one's going to go.
Probably.
Crystal Palace versus Leicester City. That one's a little more of a toss-up. Fulham versus West Ham. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. And with the way Liverpool have been rolling, I think they're going to...
At home, too, yeah.
Take apart Forest. A little deforestation, if you will. Oh, there you go. Look at that one. Manchester City versus Brentford. Aston Villa versus Everton. And AFC Bournemouth are sure to give Chelsea more than they bargained for. Sunday, September 15th is Tottenham Hotspur versus Arsenal. So that one's going to be a tasty dish at 9 a.m. So get a pint of Guinness and a pie. and have a
I'm
good
going to
watch.
have to see it because I have my first Sunday league game at 9 a.m. on Sunday.
Oh, you're going to miss it.
Yep.
And finally, to round it out, Wolverhampton Wanderers are going to take on Newcastle United at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And that is your Premier League look ahead.
So who you got in the North London Derby?
Arsenal.
I don't. Here's why.
Are you going to pin it all on
Stadium.
the Odegaard injury from international?
Well, hold on. That's part of it. It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Ange Ball, baby. Now, they may not have Dominic Solanke. That's still up in the air for Tottenham. But on the Arsenal side, yes, that Odegaard injury, he went off crying. He'll probably play. I don't know. He'll pull a Saka. But he's has that ankle injury. Mikel Mourinho still out. Their newest signing on deadline day or thereabouts. Ricardo Calafiori, doubtful with a shin injury. Jesus out until September, nothing. But remember,
Rice too, right?
Declan Rice got a red card.
Right.
He's only out for a single match because it was a second yellow, and we didn't get into that, but a rightly called second yellow, in my opinion. To the letter of the law. To the letter of the law, he tried
only
to
because you
delay
hate
the
Arsenal.
game and kick it away. But he is suspended for a match. This is the one match he is suspended for.
Right.
So you may not have Declan Rice in midfield, who is their stout, sit in front of the back for talisman, if you will. And you may not have Martin Odegaard, who creates so much in the midfield. Huge losses.
Maybe.
I'll go 2-1 Tottenham.
Huh?
What's your score protection?
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay.
I just don't. Tottenham are just having so much trouble putting it all together, and they're inconsistent. They have a lackluster defense. They even have a more lackluster vision in the midfield. So I don't. Their attacking isn't really firing on all thrusters. They keep passing when they should shoot and shoot when they should pass. So I'm not too, and I'm not saying that for any other reason than I just don't think Tottenham's really hit their stride in the season yet.
Fair enough.
I think that takes us to the end there.
And that is your 2-minute drill La Liga's roundup. Mashup mixtape Supreme from the 90s.
Well done. Everyone loves a mixtape. So that means we're back to the beer mention. We had Troy Aikman's Elite Light Lager entitled 8, which if you didn't know, and I don't think we mentioned it earlier, 8 was his jersey number. So that's why it's
correct.
8.
Correct. Yes.
Elite Lager. And it's okay. It does not do you any favors when it gets warm, but when it's ice cold, it's not bad.
The rest of it was in the can, and it finished like a light lager would in the can after sitting there for a little bit. Well, yeah. But not a horrible, like, my face got really,
And it's certainly not a pour out beer, in my opinion. Ferris, you got a Zlatan quote?
I'm going to pull from that athletic interview again.
Do it. I mean, that was a gold mine.
Oh, absolutely was. He's talking about, would you get into coaching? And he goes, no. So the reporter asks, well, why not? He goes, you see my gray hair, as he points to his jet black hair. He goes, fully gray hair is after 1 week as a coach. A coach's life is up to 12 hours per day. You absolutely don't have free time. My role is connect everything to be a leader from above and make sure the structure and organization works to keep everybody on their toes.
Interesting.
So this was in regards to, obviously, he's on the AC Milan staff in some sort, and it's how he kind of observes the first team and such. So fair question to ask, about would you get into to that side. Again, this interview is on The Athletic, done by Adam Crafton, who did this interview, and it is just Zlatan brilliance, and I'll probably continue to pull quotes from here because it helps feed the end of the pod for a while.
It's awesome. So while I was traversing a bit of Alaska, I was talking to some younger girls that my nephew had met on the relax.
Oh, I was going to say,
Ron, I'm like 12 and 13. Relax.
Yeah.
Right. And we were all talking about soccer and all kinds of things. And the question came up that, or I should say the statement came up that women play soccer just as good, or in some ways, in some regards, better than the men. And my nephew, who's a Manchester City fan, was kind of, pushing back. And it was fun little 8 to 13-year-old banter back and forth about what they know about soccer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the little girl was like, Cinderella, who is my hero, would be the best at soccer because she's a good dancer and she runs really fast. But I didn't have the heart to tell her that Cinderella would be terrible at soccer because Cinderella always runs away from the ball.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Well done. Oh, nothing like a Disney joke in there to end the pod.
Yeah, little Disney dad joke for the
you know what? That's where Troy Aikman went after he won the Super Bowl. So I'm going to Disney World.
All right, so look us up on all your social medias. Look us up on all of the places you can get your pods. The Googles and the Apple podcasts and the Spotify and all that. Do us a favor, leave us a review. And if you do, take a screenshot, email it to us at, thebrutifulgame.com, and we'll get you a sticker or magnet or something fun in the mail. We really appreciate it, especially if you tell your grandmas.
Thank you.
We're trying to
100%
corner the market on grandmothers.
We love grannies.
Gotta love it. All right, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for the beer. Thank you to your wife for bringing this back and talking to Dallas locals.
Oh, heck yeah.
To find it. So cheers, my friend. Thank you. And happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brutiful Game.